Welcome to the District 28 Senatorial Debate, sponsored by the Tunica-Biloxi Tribe of Louisiana and the Tunica-Biloxi Political Action Committee. We'd like to thank KAPB Radio for broadcasting this debate live to our audience. We'd also like to recognize Sheriff's candidate Doug Anderson, who is in the audience this evening, and ask him to make a few brief remarks.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. Folks, I think I may have met everyone through the campaign. If I didn't, my name is Doug Anderson, and I am a candidate for sheriff. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from Simsport. I was born and raised there. Married, have 2 children. I have a daughter that lives in Bossier City, and she has 2 sons. And my son lives in Simsport, and he has 1 daughter. This past January, I retired from the Louisiana State Police with 25 years of service. As a career professional lawman, I have the experience, the training, the commitment, and the leadership ability to be your next sheriff. Folks, the next sheriff of Avoyelles Parish has a lot of work ahead of him. He's got to have a set of goals, a vision, a set of sound strategies, and the leadership ability to get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, I have what it takes to be your next sheriff, but I need your help to get there. I need your help to form a high-profile, aggressive drug enforcement unit. I need your help to work with our school officials to provide a safe and secure atmosphere for learning in our schools, not only for our students, but for our teachers also. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your help to institute community policing, where we have a police officer, a well-trained police officer, in all areas of the parish all the time.
Thank you, Candidate Anderson. We welcome your presence. I will now introduce our candidates for Senate District 28. State Representative Eric LaFleur is a former felony prosecutor. In his current role as a member of the Louisiana House of Representatives, he has been a consistent supporter of education, advocating for a pay raise for teachers and increased investment in schools, including higher education. LaFleur has also been a vocal proponent of increased transparency in state government. He sponsored bills that increased transparency regarding state contracts awarded in the aftermath of Katrina and Rita. He has been a leader in improving our state's ethics code. He believes high ethical standards in state government create a better environment for economic development. LaFleur was selected by the Speaker of the House in his first term as one of only 2 freshman legislators to serve on the powerful House Appropriations Committee. He was first elected to the legislature in 1999 without opposition, and then re-elected with 81% of the vote in 2003. Representative LaFleur has a BA from Louisiana State University and is a graduate of Tulane University Law School. Please welcome Representative Eric LaFleur. Donald Newton has worked in the state Senate under the guidance of his grandfather, Senator Donald Hines. He worked in human resources and accounting and on the Senate floor for the past 6 years. A resident of Marksville, Donald is the son of Jordan and Donna Newton of Bunkie. His father is a 3rd-generation farmer. His mother, Donald Hines Newton, is the director of the Health Enrichment Network in Allen Parish. His grandparents are Marvin and Margaret Newton of Bunkie and Don and Jackie Hines of Bunkie. Newton understands what a tradition of service means. He promises to work hard to build upon the success of the past and take full advantages of the opportunities to come. Donald is a graduate of Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. He is the assistant manager of an oil company in Marksville. He is an avid hunter and fisherman. Donald is a member of the Avoyelles Wildlife Federation and a charter member of the newly formed Spring Bayou Restoration Team. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Donald Newton, candidate for Senate. And now, Mr. David Rivas will begin the questioning for our debate. David is the Director of Political Affairs for the Tunica-Biloxi Political Action Committee and is a member of the Tunica-Biloxi Tribal Council. Mr. David Rivas.
I would like to thank our candidates and distinguished panel for participating in our Government to Government series. I would like to mention again, because it's definitely worth mentioning, that by donating canned food items during these political functions, we have raised over 1,400 pounds of food in 2007. We have proven that you can lead and feed by example. Thank you. We will now pause for a broadcast break by KAPB of Marksville. Let us now begin the 2007 Senate runoff debate. Each candidate will respond to 2 questions from each panelist. The candidates will be given 3 minutes to answer each question. A timekeeper will monitor the time and signal the candidate if he has gone beyond the allotted time. We will now have candidate Eric LaFleur answer the first question from Chairman Earl J. Barbary, Sr.
Mr. LaFleur, could you tell us how Highway 1 and 115 improvements fit into your priority, and how can it be funded?
Mr. Chairman, the way you set up priorities for these roads is to make sure that everyone who benefits from those roads is well documented. That means the number of traffic, the number of cars traveling on that road, the economic activity on that road, how it benefits the whole area. On both of these roads, in order to get them funded, we first of all have to make a strong enough investment in all of our roads so that it fits, so that all the roads are funded, and if it fits into the right priority, it gets funded. This past year, as a representative, I supported one of the largest historic investments ever made in roads, and hopefully those dollars will come around and make roads like resurfacing these 2 roads, make that possible. In anything that you do in the legislature, it's a matter of organizing your efforts and making a good sale, and that's what it would take to get both of these roads done.
Thank you. Candidate Don Newton will now answer the question.
Thank you, Chairman. Is this on? All right. Thank you, Chairman. I just want to start off by thanking all of you for being here and really thanking the voters of District 28 to allow me to be in this position that I am right now, 10 days away from the November 17th runoff. And it's a credit to you that you looked and said we need an investment from a new generation, and that's why I'm here tonight. As far as Highway 1 and Highway 115, you know, infrastructure and our roadways, that's the backbone of economic development. And I guess what type of priority they fit in, during the last debate I said that my top priority would be roads. We put $400 million from the TIME program into roads this year and an additional $600 million on top, giving us $1 billion put into our road system. I propose that we do that every year until we clear the $14 billion backlog that we have in our road system. So that would be a top priority of mine to fix Highway 1, Highway 115, and any other roads that do need the additional repairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Barbary will now ask the second question to candidate Eric LaFleur.
Mr. LaFleur, do you feel that there was any vote buying by some of the candidates in the various races involved? And if so, what would you plan to do about it?
I'm not aware of any vote buying, but if there were any, I would report it to the local authorities. But no, I didn't see any of it, didn't hear about it.
Thank you. Candidate Donald Newton will now answer the question.
Also, I'm not aware of any vote buying. I believe that all 3 candidates in my race, the 11 in the sheriff's race here and the 4 in the representative's race, all ran a very clean and ethical campaign.
Thank you. We will now have candidate Donald Newton answer the first question from Council Member Marshall Sampson.
Mr. Newton, what experience or qualifications you feel that you possess that qualifies you for the office of State Senate?
I guess it's kind of like a 2-part question to me. As far as experiences, as it's well documented throughout my campaign, I've worked under my grandfather, Dr. Hines, for the past 6 years. That's the best learning experience I believe that any candidate could have to be on the actual Senate floor that I want to serve on, to see the processes, to see the bills go through, to know the staff, to know the members of the body, and so on and so on. I believe that's better than serving in the other chamber or anything like that, because the Senate is run different from the House. And I believe that is some experience that I bring to the race. As far as qualifications, I guess it all depends on how you would define that. You know, if qualifications are measured by being an attorney or being a lifetime politician, then no, I don't have those qualities. But if they're determined as being a family man, a hard worker, a good father, and someone that's dedicated to what they're doing, I have more qualifications than I can speak of. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now answer the question.
You know, obviously, as a member of the legislature for the last 8 years, I have legislative experience, and it's not serving as a page or not serving on the staff. I didn't watch the debate. I was part of the debate. I didn't copy the bills. I wrote those bills. And it's a different type of experience, and it's a kind of experience, I think, that makes me a little bit more, or makes me uniquely qualified to serve in this position. There is no doubt in the Senate, the people that will be there will be experienced members that will be coming from the House or that were there before. And so that gives me a big advantage, I think, in knowing the process, knowing the staff, knowing how to write bills, and knowing what the issues are going to be. So from experience, that's the type of experience I have. I was also a page in high school and in college as a student, and that also I guess, gave me the idea or kind of gave me the desire to want to serve in this capacity. But it's my experience as a legislator that makes the bigger difference. Also an experience is just an experience of being a 43-year-old businessman who has worked professionally in my community. You know, I've been a member of several civic organizations. It's the type of experience that you just get from age. As a prosecutor, I got to experience some of the biggest nightmares that people have ever had in their lives, and that's something that I could never have done as a younger person. It just happened to happen to me as an older person, that I got to see people that suffered. And as a legislator, I made it a point to make sure that we ended that type of suffering, that we passed laws to make the criminal justice system better, that when I met people suffering from not having insurance or not having appropriate health care, that we passed laws to make people's lives better. And that's after, like I said, as somebody who's 43 years old and lived as long as I have, I don't have any kind of great amount of wisdom, but I have lived long enough to know, I think, what the issues are and how to address them.
Thank you. Councilmember Marshall Sampson will now ask the second question to candidate Donald Newton.
Mr. Newton? Correct. What are some examples or suggestions, if elected, that you will propose as state senator to bring economic development to our parish?
I believe economic development, education is economic development. I believe that the $209 million investment that we put into our public education system this year needs to be duplicated, and more money needs to be put into this. By doing that, we create an educated workforce. The second part to this is our infrastructure, as I've stated earlier. Our roads, our highways, our bridges. No company wants to come down Highway 29 South in Bunkie to bring their products in. No one wants to exit off of the St. Landry exit and go through winding roads to get here. And the same thing through Highway 1 with just a 2-lane road. We need to invest in our infrastructure. And I think thirdly is we must have ethical reform. Companies are very, I'd say, leery of coming here because of our past. I think we need a new generation. No more career politicians. I think we need just a new voice there that says we are for real. We're going to do what we say. And I plan to work with Governor-elect Jindal in this special session that he's talking about calling to give us the best ethical laws on the books. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now answer the question.
Examples of what you would do to improve the economy in Avoyelles Parish, particularly in this area, would be to focus in on the small rural areas. We talk about super sites that are located in other parts of the state. We talk about always trying to attract Toyota or some giant corporation to come to Louisiana. It doesn't always take a Toyota to make a difference in your community. I mean, a small manufacturing facility that employs only 40 people or 50 people can have as big an impact on your local economy as any Toyota would ever would. And the other good part about it is it doesn't take a tremendous amount of tax dollars where you have to almost bribe the company to come to your area. You can go over there, give them the right incentives, they'll locate in your area, and you can provide good workers to make that company a success. We also have to make sure that when we're debating economic development, that rural Louisiana is well represented. Sometimes economic dollars and economic talk only centers around larger areas. You seem like you have to have a dome in your hometown in order to get some type of attraction, in order to get some business to come your way. We have to make sure that this governor and the economic development people that he puts in place also wants to work hard for rural Louisiana and not just large cities. And that's one of the problems that we've always faced, that we faced in the last 8 years. And we need to make sure that we hold those people in charge of economic development accountable to the rural areas. We're all taxpayers, and we're all looking to better ourselves just like everybody else.
Thank you. We will now pause for a broadcast break by KAPB of Marksville. We will now have candidate Eric LaFleur answer the first question from Mr. Jim Nickel.
There are predictions that our state government will have a surplus of over $1 billion in the upcoming year. If surplus dollars can only be used for one-time expenditures, what one-time priorities would you place on using those dollars?
With one-time money, you need one-time expenditures, those items that only require a certain one-time investment. Without a doubt, we made a huge investment in roads, but as Donnie pointed out, that investment is still far behind what the need is. We're billions, we made about $1 billion investment, but we're several $billion behind. So I would suggest that we take that one-time money and make a second big investment in roads. But while we're doing roads, there's other things that we need to improve in our state's infrastructure. We did it this past year with ports. We did it with some advanced maintenance work at the universities. And I think we shouldn't forget about our recreational areas as well across the state. So I think we have to take advantage of this opportunity where we're going to have this surplus money, and we have to make sure that we avoid the temptation to use it for recurring expenses instead of just one-time investment expenses.
Thank you. Candidate Donald Newton will now answer the question.
Well, I hate to keep repeating myself and repeating my opponent, but if it's one-time money, I think we all agree that somewhere along the line tonight, we probably drove in on a bad road. If it's one-time money, I say we put the investment back in our roads and bridges. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jim Nickel will now ask the second question to candidate Eric LaFleur.
Not everyone that graduates from high school goes to college, yet there seems to be more emphasis on college preparation in our high schools than on preparing our young to have a trade if they do not go to college. What can you do in Baton Rouge to make sure our young people are being educated to find work after high school?
One of the best things that we did in Louisiana is that we provided for TOPS, and TOPS made high schools better at what they do, and that's preparing kids for preparing kids for college. Parents now wanted their children to achieve so that they could get the TOPS program because it was just so valuable. And we've succeeded there in a way that we probably never expected. One area that we kind of forgot about is those kids that aren't going to be college bound. And this past year, we passed a measure that was called high school redesign. And what the whole idea behind high school redesign is to try to reduce I think they call them Carnegie units, to make sure that you have a kind of a dual system in high school, so that those that are on a college track, they can go on a college track. Those that aren't can go in a different way where they get the appropriate training in a trade, but they don't get caught in the middle. We have a great system to provide for high school education for college, but what we forget about are those that may not want to go to college. And sometimes we abandon them and say the only alternative for you is to either drop out and do nothing or just get a GED. And that's not what other states are doing. That's not what they've done in Europe for years. We need to take advantage of high school redesign and develop a system where we can accommodate both students on both tracks.
Thank you. Candidate Donald Newton will now answer the question.
I think simply we need to promote our technical and community college systems better than we are doing now. I think that while promoting them, we must also offer more courses. You can't promote them when you only offer 2 courses, welding and nursing. I think we need to add more courses to this. And I want to echo a little bit of what Representative LaFleur said, and that is with dual enrollment. I read today that LSUA is going to start their dual enrollment with high school seniors who want to go to college. Well, I think we should do this dual enrollment with high school seniors who want to go to a trade school and let them do this exact same program that the college-bound kids are doing with the community and technical college systems also. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have candidate Donald Newton answer the question from Mr. Randy DeQuir.
Some in Baton Rouge are calling for major changes in our charity health care system, yet many in the district depend on the state system for care. If there are major changes to health care policies, what will you do to ensure the families in District 28 continue to have access to health care?
I believe that a lot of the problems I hear about with the healthcare system is the waiting time in the waiting room, is the drive there. I believe that our preventive and primary care should be taken care of at home. I believe that our specialized care should be sent to our charity hospital system. There's a network that just formed where there's 8 hospitals that are going to form a network with charity. I believe when more hospitals get into this network, I mean, you can go to Bunkie General or Avoyelles Hospital here, have your preventive and primary care. If there's specialized care that does need to be taken place with it, the charity hospital system will already know with the network, and then you can be sent there instead of everybody going to charity for preventive and primary. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now answer the question.
We have a great opportunity to do some major changes in health care and the way we deliver that health care to indigents. No matter what we do, we don't want to have a system where health care is only available to the privileged few. I think we have an obligation as a society to take care of those who can't take care of themselves. And I don't believe that as a society we should let anybody fall through the floor. The way charity hospital system has worked in the past was very ineffective. It's been a very expensive process, and it's been really a bad deal for the taxpayer and a bad deal for the person who has to get that care. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to deliver primary health care in a timely manner that is not such a burden where you have to go and spend an entire day to get that service, or you have to wait weeks on weeks for a particular procedure or a surgery. It's just not effective. If you're a taxpayer, you should be angry about the fact that we couldn't deliver those services in a better way and a more timely way. And if you happen to be the one that has to depend on that service, you shouldn't have to endure any greater suffering because we can't get a primary health care physician to take care of you. So I'm kind of excited about the fact that we may see some major reforms in the way we deliver that service, and I'm excited about the fact that it's going to be better and more effective and more efficient.
Thank you. Mr. Randy DeQuir will now ask the second question to candidate Donald Newton.
With District 28 stretching across 4 parishes from Marksville to Oakdale, we're asked Mr. Newton, why should a person living in Avoyelles Parish be a better choice for senator? And Mr. LaFleur-Villeplat, if elected, how will you stay informed of the needs of Avoyelles Parish?
That's me first.
Yes.
I believe that if you're from Avoyelles, it's a common sense answer. You know, for the past 15 years, your senator has been Dr. Hines and has taken care of things here, but also in Evangeline, St. Landry, and Allen parishes also. I think it's easy, just like I told a young man that was interested in Spring Bayou. I said it's very easy for me to know what's going on there because it's 5 minutes from my house. Someone asked about the port and how that was coming along. I said, well, I have a good bit of information on it because it's 10 minutes down the road from my house. So if you're from Avoyelles Parish, I believe the answer is easy. I think us as Avoyellenians, as Mr. Roy put it earlier, need to stick together. We need to elect someone from this area who knows our issues, who knows what's going on with Highway 1 right here, and who knows everything about this area. But I think we also need to elect someone who's young and energetic, where the other parishes won't feel left out, because I can promise you throughout this campaign, I've spent just as much time in Allen, St. Landry, and Evangeline Parish. I'm young, I'm energetic, I will go out there and make them feel like I'm from their parishes also. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now answer the question.
How you stay informed of the needs of Avoyelles Parish is the same way you stay informed about the needs of any area in your district. I mean, I currently represent a very large area, Evangeline and St. Landry Parish. It's very rural. It sometimes takes me about an hour and a half just to get from one end to the other. But part of your duty as a representative and part of your duty as a senator is to make sure that you visit that area on a regular basis. You stay in touch with not only the elected officials, but you stay in touch with people that are working in that community. You visit the schools on a regular basis. You visit civic organizations. You subscribe to every single newspaper. You make your calls available. I mean, you return those calls that are being made because people will let you know what their issues are, and you just have to be responsive to that. And I've been very effective in what we have done in St. Landry and Evangeline Parish, and I just hope to take that same program of making regular visits and being a part of every community in the district in order to be an effective senator.
Thank you. It now gets interesting. We will now have an opportunity to hear our candidates in a challenge round. In this round, each candidate will ask one question of the other candidate, and the candidate may have 1 minute to respond to the question. The candidate asking the question may also have 1 minute to rebuttal. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now ask his question.
As a student worker in high school and in college, and at the age of 23, what is it that you learned during your term as a page or in your other jobs at the Senate that makes you uniquely qualified to serve as an effective senator for District 28?
As far as what I've learned, I can honestly say I've learned the whole process. I know the process in my sleep. I don't know if there's any more that I can add to that. I repeated that earlier tonight. But the unique thing about being 23 is what I said earlier, is I'm young and I'm energetic, and I think we need a new face in Baton Rouge. I think we need a new voice in Baton Rouge, and I think we need someone who's going to go and represent someone like my 18-month-old son, Noah. Someone who's going to look at our future generations and say, let's take care of these people. That's what I've learned in Baton Rouge is the process and how it works, but also I've seen what needs to be done there. And I've seen that not enough of our politicians have taken that time to say, what about our younger generation? And that's something that I can promise you that I will do.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur may rebuttal if he wishes.
I have no rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Donald Newton will now ask his question.
Representative LaFleur, I know you're going to think this is deja vu because I asked you this the first time we debated. But just one more time, can you tell myself, I know my dad's listening back home, he's a farmer, about your stance on taxes on our farmers, and really your stance, I guess I should say, in general, about issues that do affect District 28. About taxing the people of District 28, especially our farmers.
Well, I mean, my father-in-law and his brother are big rice farmers in Evangeline Parish. My mother grew up on a farm. I have uncles that are all farmers and cattlemen. Agriculture is a very, very important part of this district. It's a very important part of the state of Louisiana's economy. It's one of the most important parts of that economy. We always talk about oil and gas as the biggest deal, and it is. It's a great employer, but there's no greater impact on the economy than agriculture. And that's not just sugarcane and rice. That includes poultry business up in North Louisiana. That includes, every type of grain that's grown. What we have to do is keep in place those tax benefits that are currently applicable to agriculture. We have to continue to improve and better market our products. Perfect example of that is crawfish. We don't want to buy Chinese toys because they'll kill our children or we'll get some type of poisoning from it. We don't mind buying Chinese crawfish. If you think their crawfish are any better than their toys, I think you'd have to reconsider.
We will now pause for a broadcast break by KAPB of Marksville.
Rebuttal.
I'm sorry. We're going to hold off on the broadcast. Let's go ahead and go to the rebuttal.
Thank you, David. And I guess it is kind of deja vu because that's exactly what Representative LaFleur said last time, was that he was involved in farming. And just with a little bit of research, Representative LaFleur, his voting record shows that it's quite opposite. He has taxes, and he has voted for more taxes. One of the most, let me get this out of the way. Voted for a tax on manufacturing of fertilizer, sale of pesticide, the Horticulture Commission, shipping of sweet potatoes, sale of feed, the sale of seeds, the nursery business, beekeepers, shrimpers, turtle farmers, and the list goes on and on and on. So, Representative, I hear that you are involved in agriculture, but especially the sweet potatoes, that's part of my family. All you have constantly done is levy taxes upon these people who provide food and provide the betterment of our parish, really, for us in our economy.
Thank you. We will now pause for a broadcast break by KAPB of Marksville. To encourage more community involvement, we will now go live to our webpage at tbipac.com, where citizens have been given the ability to submit questions. Casey Desautel, our webmaster, will send me the questions as they are as follows. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. The first question is from Kathy. Actually, this question was submitted earlier, and we actually wanted to pose it to both of the senatorial candidates, so I'll go ahead and read the question. What are your intentions to follow through with 5-laning Highway 1? And is it acceptable to you that they are saying that there are no funds for right-of-ways to continue the project? And will you accept responsibility if this project is not completed during your tenure? Candidate Eric LaFleur will answer the question.
Everything that we do in Baton Rouge when it comes to improving highways or buildings or schools or universities or whatever the case might be always goes back to dollars. And it's not a question of whether you have enough dollars, it's a question of whether you want to allocate those dollars to a particular project. If you want to have a project done, you have to have an effective senator, somebody who can sell the program, who can gain the respect of his colleagues to make that appropriation possible. That's how you get something like this done, and that's what it'll take for this project to be completed. And that's something, yeah, that I'll take responsible for, just like anything else in the district. We're elected to do that, and anything that goes down or is negative, we have to take responsibility for it.
Thank you. Candidate Donald Newton will now answer the first question.
Can you repeat it, please?
Sure. Kathy submits, what are your intentions to follow through with 5-laning Highway 1? And is it acceptable to you that they are saying that there are no funds for right-of-ways to continue the project? And will you accept responsibility if this project is not completed during your tenure?
To answer the question, no, it wouldn't be acceptable to me, and I can tell you this. As far as the Marksville-Mansura corridor, which is part of the 5-laning of Highway 1, it's a $30 million project. $15 million is for construction. That's taken care of. The other $15 million comes with purchasing the right-of-ways. $2.5 million has been put towards that. There's still $12.5 million to go. And the reason it wouldn't be acceptable to me is because I can tell you tonight, I can promise all the voters of District 28, within my first 4 years, within my first term as being your next state senator, I will find the extra $12.5 million, I guess I should put it like that, to complete the $30 million project, and it will be 5-lane highway throughout the Marksville-Mansura corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. The second question is from Randy. My son asked me, why is it okay for other kids to fight in school and get away with it? Candidate Donald Newton will answer the question.
Randy, it's not okay for other kids to get away with fighting. I don't believe in violence in schools, and I believe that as our next sheriff, whoever it is, whether it's Mr. Anderson or Mr. Wilmer, will help police this issue of fighting in school.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now answer the question.
The question, why is it okay for some to fight, not for others to fight?
No. I believe this is a concerned parent dealing with the schools and some of the violence that's there. And the question is posed in this way. My son asked me, why is it okay for other kids to fight in school and get away with it? I guess they're really upset with what's happening in our public school system.
Yeah, well, I guess I can gather that he's worried about the violence in school. I mean, it's just another example of being able to, or requiring, or giving principals, for example, the authority to take a kid who does fight in school and discipline appropriately. And until we can give the principals and the teachers that type of authority, and when the parents show up complaining about it, you shouldn't have to have an act of Congress or have to go to court every time that happens. We need to give the principals and the teachers the authority to not only put an end to that fight, but to put that kid out of school.
Thank you. We will now pause for a broadcast break by KPB of Marksville. At this time, the TBI PAC would like to give you, the audience, a chance to address the candidate. At the beginning of the program tonight, we asked the audience to submit questions for the candidates, and we have selected 2 questions submitted by the audience. I would now like to ask Rudy Wamsgans to please approach the mic and pose your questions to candidate Eric LaFleur. He will have 1 minute to respond.
Thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. I'd like to pose this question. Our current governor for the past 4 years has been adamantly opposed to the expansion of gaming. This district possesses 2 major Native American gaming operations and a number of satellite gaming operations such as video poker and such, which has provided an economic benefit to this district. are you opposed to the expansion of gaming as well?
No, I'm not. The gaming industry has been a great economic boom to this area and really to the whole District of 28. I mean, we have 2 large casinos in this area, and it's not just about a casino and it's not just about gaming, because it's all the other amenities that are provided by what is really a resort. It's it's a casino, but it's really a resort. I mean, you've got movie theaters here, you've got golf available, you've got camping. It's an economic boom to the area, and I think we're glad to be here, and I think the people that work here are glad to be here in the economic development area. You know, the whole boom to the area. It's all been good.
Thank you. Candidate Donald Newton will now respond to the question.
And also, no, I'm definitely not opposed to the expansion of gaming. You know, before Paragon Casino came here, I guess it was Grand Casino first, welfare was the #1 payer in this area, as I'm sure most of you know. Now that the casino has been here for, I'd say, 10 years, it's the #1 payer. With all the jobs they offer, with all the different amenities we have here, with the golf course here, with movie theaters and everything else. So no, I'm not at all opposed to the expansion of it, because it's a great economic development. It's great economic development for our area here and in Kinder also.
Thank you. I would now like to ask Lonnie Bridges to please approach the mic and pose your question to candidate Donald Newton. You will have 1 minute to respond.
Okay, sort of a different question here. Starts off with a comment. We need to elect competent officials and leaders with character in all aspects of business and government. What will you do to represent Louisiana and enforce an accountability factor to business leaders, community officials, and inspiring future entrepreneurs?
If I got all of that, as your next senator, I'm going to be an ethical person. I'm going to be a senator with an open door policy, a senator that doesn't see myself better than anyone else, but really someone that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the district. I'm going to go to Baton Rouge, and I won't disappoint. I can promise you that. And if I would happen to, I would be accountable for it. But I don't believe that I will, because I believe in very common sense ideas which deal through education, healthcare, jobs, and economic development, through that whole realm. And I'm a common sense guy with an open door policy, and I really don't think you can go wrong with that.
Thank you. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now respond to the question.
Well, people, I think, in public office or involved in public service, they have to lead by example, just like your parents do, or other people that you look at in authority. If they lead by example and conduct themselves in a good way, then the people respect them. And that's what I've tried to do as a state representative. I've tried to serve the people that I represent in a way that they can be proud of. We also need to set the standard and the bar higher for public officials. That's why I've been probably the major proponent of ethics reform in the state of Louisiana. I was glad to see, after speaking to Governor Jindal-elect, that he also is on board. And I look forward to making that a reality in Louisiana, that it's not just something that we look at, it's something that's going to be real and that will be followed and that will be enforced. And I believe that we're on the right track. We started last year in the legislature with the bill that I sponsored. It ended up being the center of debate in the governor's race, and it looks like now it's going to take off. And so I look forward to promoting that type of behavior by public officials.
Thank you. We will now pause our broadcast break by KPB of Marksville. Each candidate will now have 1 minute for closing remarks. Each will address the audience. Candidate Eric LaFleur will now make his closing remarks.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the chairman and the PAC for hosting this event. This is the second time that I've been here. I mean, you're providing a great public service to the community and the whole district at wide, and to have this type of event. And you are very much a good corporate citizen, not only to Vols Parish, but to this whole area of Louisiana. This race is about having an effective leader who knows what economic development is, who has been in business, who has employed people, who knows what it's like to pay health insurance, who knows what it's like to try to provide health insurance for their employees, who knows what it's like to have substandard schools and to work at making those better. That's what this race is about. I'm running to try to make those things better. That's what I've done in my last 8 years in the legislature, and that's what I intend to do as a state senator if you give me that opportunity. And I would appreciate your consideration this week and Saturday on Election Day, next Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Donald Newton will now make his closing remarks.
And I also want to thank the chairman and the tribe for putting this on. And, you know, I like Eric just said, we need someone who knows what economic development is. Well, I do know what that is. You know, my opponent has an F rating with business, so I promise you I know what economic development is. But I think this election isn't about strong leadership. I think it's about change. I think it's about someone that's going to go to Baton Rouge and represent each and every one of us, someone that's going to stand side by side with each and every one of us, and someone that's going to look at our future generations and say, what do we have here for them? Would they be able to move home like I did and begin to work here? And as of right now, a lot of them won't be able to. They'll be going to Atlanta or Austin or wherever the hot spot is in. So I just ask you on your way home tonight, and whoever's listening out there, to think about change, to think about our future, to think about what's best for this area. And I can promise you I will not let you down, and I won't disappoint. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support on November 17th, number 49.
Thank you. You have been given the opportunity to hear the candidates for Senate. Thank you very much. This now concludes another installment of our Government to Government series. And remember, let your vote be your voice. And let's give everyone here, the panelists and the senatorial candidates, a big round of applause. Thank you all.